Nina, I love the look of hand applique, and I see you have a couple of quilts here that have that look, but if I know you, this was not done by hand.
You're right. I love the look of hand applique too, but I will never perfect that art, and I know that I can do this on the machine much faster and quicker. Okay. The preparation for this is very much like you would do for hand applique.
Okay.
I'm going to draw my shape on freezer paper and then cut it out. Once I finish cutting out my applique shape, I press it to the back side of my fabric.
You know, I don't know who figured out that you could use freezer paper for applique, but it is a great thing to do.
Isn't it? And then I've cut out my fabric a scant 1/4 inch all the way around my applique shape.
Okay.
Now, to finish preparing this, I do need to clip right into this point, just one clip, and a few clips on this part.
Wherever it curves?
Where it curves. Now, I don't do any clipping out here.
Okay.
Now, to prepare this piece, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue stick along the edge.
And this is regular glue stick?
Mm-hmm. Or you can use a fabric glue stick. And then I'm just going to use my finger to push that over the edge, and I get a nice smooth edge on my applique piece.
Because of the clips.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Also, here at the corner, so many people want to trim that off. Mm-hmm. And I would say we're going to just push this up like this. And now I'm just pulling these side edges over that point. And I get a perfect point right down here at the end.
Excellent.
Okay. And I'll just continue to go around that piece. And again, I like to use my finger. Some people like to use other tools, a stick or
a stiletto
whatever. If I get a little fold of fabric that creates a sharp point here, I just use my nail and smooth that out. I'm now going to add just a little bit more glue stick and position my fabric on my background.
So you don't fuse this to the fabric?
No, there's no fusing. It's just all done with the glue stick because that will all wash out.
Okay.
I have put invisible nylon on the top. Whenever I do that, I want to lower my upper tension just a little bit. I've also threaded my bobbin case with thread that matches my background. So I've got black thread in my bobbin case. I like to use the gold latch bobbin or the embroidery bobbin for my 730 because I can thread this little pigtail.
And what if you don't have a 730? How would you do it?
Then I would thread the stitch finger on the bobbin case.
So you're basically tightening your bobbin tension.
I want to increase that bobbin tension so that my stitch on the top will be slightly pulled to the back.
Okay.
I've attached the number 20 open toe foot on my machine for visibility.
So you can see the edge that you're stitching.
Now, as far as a stitch, I can go to the quilt menu in my sewing machine and select the invisible applique stitch that is already programmed for you. If you don't have that, I'm simply going to select my blind hem. I do need to make some changes. I'm going to set that stitch so that I have a 1 width and a 1 length. That's easy to remember, 1 and 1. And I also want to make sure that my needle is in a far right position. That way I can position my fabric underneath the foot so that this edge is right inside that toe.
You know, this is one of the best things about that foot. I use it all the time, moving my needle position over so I can use the toe of that foot.
And for visibility, this is such a precise stitch. What I want to happen is the stitch to jump into the fabric, and then it's going to take several straight stitch right next to the edge of my applique piece. The needle will jump into the fabric, taking a bite, and I can control that. I can actually be grabbing just a thread or two, which is what makes it look like it's done by hand. When I get down to the point of this particular heart, if I really want a stitch right in that point, I am going to select Pattern Begin so that I know that stitch is going to go back into the fabric on the next stitch. Turn that. I can select Pattern Begin again so that I make sure I get that into the point turn it and select Pattern Begin again. As I stitch around this, depending on your shape, I like to be able to use needle position down and my freehand system to turn as I need to. When I finish sewing around my applique piece, I'm going to go to the back side, trim away my fabric on the inside of the applique, and remove the freezer paper.
And I think that's another reason it looks like hand, because you're able to take all that stabilizer out, you remove the stiffness, and it has a softer look to it.
That's true. It sort of puffs up. For this and other applique techniques, visit your local Bernina dealer today.